want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. My name is Dr. Sylvia Black, licensed real estate broker with affordable homes and apartments, and I'm licensed to preach and ordained as a minister, and I have my master's degree in sacred theological divinity, soon to have my PhD in Bible studies. And I want to thank you for joining me for Real Estate, Religion, and You, which airs every Wednesday right here on Time Warner Public Access TV Channel 20, Wednesdays 6:30 to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 12:30 to 1 in the afternoon. And I'd like to thank you for joining me again for Real Estate, Religion, and You. You can hit me up on YouTube. My YouTube channel is sblack3001. You can also visit me at Black Preaching Network, and you can email me there or message me. You can actually hit me up on Facebook, message me, blog me, and I have a website which is http://affordablehomesанdapartments.com. Okay, don't do the www, just do http://affordablehomesанdapartments.com, and that's my new website. And again, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Today, I'd like to talk to you on a continued basis of my book, You're Fired. Okay, and I hope that you were somewhat encouraged last week by the initial synopsis of the book that I talked about trying to stay calm in the midst of your getting fired. It's called You're Fired and Handling. Actually, it's called You're Fired, Handling the Exit Interview with Grace. This is the DVD. Okay, the book is available on createspace.com, lulu.com, amazon.com, and on my website at http://affordablehomesанdapartments.com, and you can order right from my website. If you'd like me to send you an ebook, I can ebook it to your phone, your tablet, or your computer. And just send me an email at sblack3001@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to send you or electronically send you a book. And we'll work out all the details at that point. And again, this is called You're Fired, and it's entitled Handling the Exit Interview with Grace. Okay. Now, I know most everybody has been fired at one time or another. You've been downsized, you've been let go for some reason or another. The assignment ended or the job was downsized or what have you. And so everybody has experience. If you haven't experienced it, that means you're probably just starting out the workforce. But if you haven't experienced it, you may experience it sometime in the road. You'll either experience the fact that they'll let you go, or you'll experience the fact that you'll leave, you'll quit, you'll walk out, you resign, or what have you. Now, I had concluded last week with trying to stay calm in the midst of you're getting fired. Keep your mouth shut and keep your hands to yourself. That's the best advice I can give you. Now, another thing I suggest to you to do is don't sign anything. Okay? I don't sign anything when they fire me. I'm like, how dare you ask me to sign something? I'm not signing anything. Why should I sign anything? To me, signing that piece of paper is an agreement saying that I agree with you, for the reasons that you indicated why you're letting me go. But I don't agree with you, so I'm not signing nothing. And then they'll put on there refuse to sign. So I'm like, don't ask me to sign nothing. You can at your discretion choose whether you want to sign something or not. Me, I never sign anything. Okay? Make sure that you're eligible for unemployment insurance. Okay? If you quit, you'll get unemployment. If you quit, you'll be less likely to get unemployment. But if you get fired, you can almost be guaranteed that you're going to get unemployment unless they badmouth you, and then they say, well, no, we don't want to get unemployment, and they'll just try to keep you from getting unemployment. And if that ever happens, if you ever become disqualified for one reason or another, after you file your case and they say you're not eligible, then all you have to do is work a couple of weeks. A certain amount of weeks is based on your weekly, what you're going to be getting on unemployment a week. And they base it on that, and you'll have to work a certain amount of weeks in order to break the disqualification. But you will be eligible for unemployment. You pay for it in your paycheck. I pay for it in my paycheck every week. Okay? If you quit, you'll hamper your efforts to get unemployment insurance. So try not to quit if you can help it. Try to wait and just let them fire you. If you really want to, them to fire you, then, just start coming in late every day. Or don't do no work that they ask you to do, or, don't do it on purpose or whatever. Just say, I don't understand. I don't understand. And they say, well, you're not competent to do the job, And then they might end up letting you go. Or just come in there and act like you're overqualified, like you know more than them, and then they'll sure enough let you go then. Put some black grease all over your face. Okay, now, okay, your performance, like I said about your performance and everything. Now, don't bow down to anybody. That's my suggestion. Unless you want to, that's your prerogative if you want to bow down. But I'm not bowing down to nobody. If you work hard, if your work that you produce isn't sufficient enough to satisfy the requirements of the job, then so be it. Then, fire me, let me go. I just don't bow down to nobody. I'm not bowing down to you. Who you think you are? You're not better than me. That I should bow down to you. The only one I bow down to is I get on my knees and I pray to God. Another thing I wanted to mention too, that in my book, Youre Fired, I don't talk anything about God in here except for when I mentioned that, maybe now it's time for you to, to get connected with a local church, because God is an ever-present help in a time of trouble. I do put that in there. But I talk to you in this book from a secular point of view. But as a person, me talking to you from this television broadcast, I will be giving encouragement based on the Word of God. But when you read this book here, you won't be receiving that same encouragement that I'm talking to you about. So if you want this encouragement, you have to listen to the tape, because I don't talk about it in the book. When the other book that I have, like I said, I have a remedy for this, because I know a lot of times when we get fired, there's various reasons why you get fired. But me, in my case, is that I'm overqualified for the job. In your case, a lot of times they don't want to hire an older person, they want a younger person. A younger person may not be as, intelligent, may not know how to handle the job like an older person does, may not be as responsible. But see, this is the employer's, what they require, what their requirements are. So, you and I, we can't change that. We have to just go along with the flow. Okay, there are organizations out there that would help, you know what I mean? And you wonder why people always milking the system, because it's like there's no middle class. There's just lower class and upper class. And when you're working on a job, you're still considered lower class if you're making low wages. And if higher upper classes if you're living in the suburbs and you can afford that $100,000 house or whatever with a mortgage, and that car on lease or whatever, and those 5 kids that you got at home and all those other things. I worked for one landlord and he had bought 5 cars. He had 2 cars for himself, 1 for his wife, and 5 cars for each one of his kids. And he started complaining about, I got a mortgage to pay and I got a car note to pay on 5 cars. I said, wow, that's a lot, So I helped him rent out his buildings, put money in his pocket and everything. That's what we do. But, when you get fired, there's several reasons why you get fired. You get fired because you don't do your job right. You don't come in on time. You don't dress properly. You don't follow the rules. You got to follow the rules of the job. Otherwise, definitely, yes, you can be assured that you're going to get fired. If you want to get fired, then that's what you do, to get fired, But be careful, because they can badmouth you and make it hard for you to get unemployment. And that'll be even more difficult when you file for unemployment and you be like, sorry, but you're not eligible or whatever, other reasons could be, when you don't get the job, is because, they don't want, like I said, they have their preference, what they want, what the company wants, and it could vary, So don't take it personally because, you get the job and then you get fired. Look at it this way, and I talk about this in this book also, about a career and a job versus a career. See, my real estate that I do, that's a career for me. It's not only a career, but it's a lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? My preaching, my religious, when I talk to you about my religious books, that's a career, that's my lifestyle. That's what I do. I love doing that. I do that with a passion. I'm very passionate about it and I take it personally. But all customer service jobs that I do, data entry, word processing, any of those jobs that I do for somebody else that are not related to real estate or religion, that's just a job. And you have to understand that the difference between a job and a career, which I talk about. A job is just something that you get to make some money temporarily for right now. A career is something that you do personally, that you enjoy doing. It's part of you. A doctor, a nurse, they go to school. I know doctors do. They go to school for a lot of years. Lawyers go to school for a lot of years. And you're not going to go to school all those years just to get a job and then find a career in another field. That is your career. If you're spending that much time going to a school to learn that field, that trade, then that means that you have decided or dedicated yourself to that becoming your career. Okay? So when you go after these jobs, go after the job. Realize that it is just a job. I'm getting this job temporarily. You don't tell them that. Oh yeah, where do you see yourself 15 years from now? And I'll help you out. Like I said, I have a workshop and I have another book, too, that I'm coming and I'll talk to you about. It's the opposite of You're Fired, Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I'll show you how to answer those questions the right way. When I talked to you last week, those questions that I read off to you, those were the wrong answers. We're going to go over the right answers, how you should answer the questions so that you can get the job, what you need. And just remember that when you're going in there before, up until the next time that we meet, when we talk about, matter of fact, it's called You're Hired. This is called You're Fired, that's called You're Hired. And when, you go get a job, realize, what your purpose is while you're sitting there before that employer. I'm here to get a job. How long do you think you're going to be there in your mind? Probably just be there maybe a year, right? Unless they let you go before that. You know what I mean? But realize this is completely unrelated to what it is that I love to do. So what is it considered? A job. If you get something in a career, people would see that. They see that you really enjoy it. But see, I do any job that I get, I do it, and I do it with a passion. Because I was trained to do, when you get the job, and as Martin Luther King says in his revised, the late Martin Luther King says in his revised edition, My Life with Martin Luther King, he says, give yourself passionately to the doing of it. It being your job, or whatever it is that you were called to do. If you're called to be a janitor and you clean toilets, you clean those toilets the best of your ability. When you walk out of that bathroom should be smelling like flowers. Do the best job that you can, and that's what I always do. I don't do it to prove to nobody nothing. You know what I mean? I don't have to prove nothing to nobody because I know who I am. I know what I stand for. But I just do it the best of my ability because I'm setting a precedent. Like I said, not for the man or the woman who is going to be hiring me or promoting me. I'm doing unto the Lord a service because I know it's God that's going to reward me. And what does it say in the Bible? It says, you be faithful over a few things, and then I will make you ruler over many. God's word is the only word that I can rely on that can promise me what it is that I need and stick to his promise. Man will promise you things and they will fail you because they will promise you certain things and they will not fulfill their obligation. They will not give you what they promise you. I can almost guarantee you that man will fail you. If you don't know that by now, you know that because I'm sure that you've heard these words once. If you haven't heard them twice, but I've heard them a number of times. Sorry, Miss So-and-so. I'm sorry, Miss So-and-so, but we're going to have to let you go. Okay? So how to handle the exit interview with grace. We're talking about, like I said, make sure you're eligible for unemployment. If you walk out, you can jeopardize that chance. Like I said, if my work isn't good enough for you, then so be it. I call it modern day slavery. I told a friend of mine, I'm going to the plantation. Let me go into the plantation. You know what I mean? I remember one time this woman, she was talking to me like I was an invalid, like I didn't know nothing, like I was stupid. She just kept going over and over and whatnot. And so I realized at this point, she was going to fire me anyway because I was getting pissed off at the way she was talking to me. I didn't say anything about it, and my work performance didn't reflect that. But she was just, And so I said, okay, I'm going to get her back. Because sometimes, you have to face your perpetrator. It's always quite therapeutic if you can face your perpetrator and let them know how you feel about what they've done to you. Because if you walk off that job and you carry that on your shoulders, you're going to be carrying that ball and chain around with you. So it's best that you somehow be able to find a way to tell them, I didn't like this job anyway. I was going to quit. I wasn't only going to work here for a little while, you know what I mean? Or this and that and the other's the case. So you should have got that, or that should be done, or that should be done, Or that bathroom was always stinking, something like that, you know what I mean? Anything you could tell them. But I had told this one woman, she had got on my nerve and whatnot, and I was the only, as it has been called so eloquently back in the day before I was born, I was the only darky, that was there, and I told her, I said, I don't know if y'all ever watched The Jeffersons, where Florence was the maid, and George was treating her like a slave, and he walked in one day, and she had put a slave outfit on, what the slave maids wore, and whatnot, and she was down on her knees and whatnot and talking, and he says, get up off of your knees like that. She said, say please, because she was like, oh Lord, I done made you mad, and everything like that. And I was like, and I told the woman, I said, yes, boss man, I was getting to it. I don't want to make you mad, master boss man, and she turned red as a plum. I said, okay, I got it back. Because she was like, she was just, making me feel little, so I had to get her back, and I was still safe. There was no chance they was going to call the cops on me and send me to jail, And like I said earlier, last week I talked about people wanting to make a love connection. Sometimes when people get a job, they want to make that love connection, and that's why they hire you, because they feel that you can satisfy them in that capacity. Okay, also, how to handle the exit interview with grace. Your former company might agree to describe the separation in neutral terms for future employers, or to just confirm your dates of employment, and that's it, and don't say nothing about your performance. If you have really been an unrighteous employee, then they will fire you. Okay, but you may want to negotiate that you resigned, and you guessed it, you won't get unemployment, so you'll be SOL in that department. But you might be able to get on welfare until you find your next job, but that's a debilitating experience, or you'll be forced to take the first job that comes along, rather than waiting for something that comes along in your career. If you feel bold enough to, keep in touch with coworkers. If you've made friends along the way, that always helps. You can always channel off and talk to them about certain things. You know what I mean? I found it sort of hard, especially since my tenure at a lot of those places of employment wasn't that long anyway. So they really didn't get to know me that well. So I tried to keep in touch with a couple of them, but they sort of acted like I was a stranger. So I figured it's best that I don't. Okay? And try to remain objective. Try to see you're getting fired as an opportunity for a vacation. A 6-month paid vacation. Or try seeing yourself as someone on the outside looking in from an objective point of view. Do you understand why you are being let go? Do you ask them why they are firing you, or were you in too much of a hurry to get out of there? I know when they called me in the office and they said, can we speak to you for a minute? And I asked one guy, so you firing me? And he looked all blank in the face. Yeah, I said, because if you are, I got to get out of here because I got to get on the unemployment line before they close. That was when you used to have to stand on the unemployment line. I don't know if any of you remember when you had to file for unemployment, and at that time they used to make you stand on the line. That wasn't that long ago. That wasn't that long ago at all. Okay, there will be ups and downs in every job or career, and life does go on. I can assure you of that. This too shall pass. Don't make a permanent decision for a temporary situation. Don't jump off a bridge. Don't drown yourself in the lake. Don't burn your house down. Don't overdose on drugs or alcohol. It will be okay. Life does go on. Okay? This you can be sure of. I can almost guarantee you that. Okay? I can almost guarantee you that. I mean, I can guarantee you life goes on. As long as you don't end it. You know what I mean? Okay? Lots of people get fired from jobs. You're not alone. Okay, at all levels of career. Some people have been on a job for 10, 15, 20 years, about ready to retire, and they get fired, or they get let go, or they get downsized, And then what happens to these people who have an uphold an image, or they have a mortgage and a car note, like the guy I used to work for? He got 5 cars, 5 notes for 5 kids. And plus he's got his car, he's got his wife's car, he's got a mortgage, and he's got other responsibilities and everything. And then you lose your job. Now see, that's the kind of person that, you really be tempted, but you got to still see the bigger picture. You have to be able to see the bigger picture. You're going to have to, if you can't get more money, then you're going to have to reduce your spending. And I have a workshop on financial management as well. But remember that you're not alone. If you haven't done this before, then it's a good time, like I said, to reconnect with your local church. Having God in your life can bring some type of stability and possibly encourage you in the time of your greatest need. Because God is an ever-present help in the time of trouble. Believe me, baby, I should know. There are a few girls that I worked with that I would see at some almost every interview that I would go at. We travel around from job to job, not at the same time, but eventually they would be there. Leave gracefully if you can. Start setting a course for the future. When a company has to tell you you're fired, how do you handle separation? How do you wild out, or do you walk out gracefully? I would strongly suggest don't break anything, don't hit anybody. Not only could you find yourself out of a job, but you may find yourself in jail. And when you do go for that next job, you may pass the drug test, but when they do a background check, they're going to find out that you've been in jail, so you'll have a criminal background. Okay, and then you could risk not getting a good job at all forever. Okay, and you have to get whatever's available. If you're laid off, there are good ways of reacting, and there are bad ways of reacting. Giving up and getting energy is not an option, and you do have a right to be angry, but you don't have a right to act out on that anger. Staying positive is the best approach. Okay, if you don't feel like looking for another job right away, then don't. Stay home for a while. Chill out, relax. Let your emotions get calm. Take it easy. Try not to burn any bridges when you leave the job. Remember, one job I called. Okay, I think I just told you that one. So if you're ever faced with an unpleasant reality of getting fired, you will want to handle it in the most eloquent way possible. Your behavior is going to be judged and reviewed by your colleagues for years to come. Okay, and they will be judged. They will judge you. They will be looking for you a picture to appear in the paper, watching the news to see if your face is going to appear. Let's hope it doesn't appear, especially over this incident. Being upset after a layoff is natural. Being upset after a layoff is natural. It's one of the biggest rejections in life. It's like being served with divorce papers when you didn't even know there was a problem. You show up on time, do a great job that is well recognized, and then bam, out of nowhere, get served with a pink slip. You're fired. Okay? Let me get back to where it was. You're served with a pink slip. Oh Lord, I don't know where it was. Okay, then you get pink. Then you get served with the pink slip. Here you go. You're fired. Or they may say, we don't need your services anymore, or worse yet, they wait until you go home that night thinking that you have a job. You thinking that you have a job to go to the next day, and then they call you at night when you're at home relaxing and tell you not to come back into work the next day. I hate that. Okay? To add insult to injury while you're being behind the firing line, as I call it, you're being locked out of the computer access, and the computer security officer is waiting for you outside the boss's office. You can no longer use your badge. Okay. You can no longer use your badge. God. Okay, where is it at? Okay, here we go. You can no longer use your badge or anything. Okay, they take your ID badge away from you, and it leaves you feeling pretty much like a criminal. To add insult to injury, they may ask you to go back into your desk and clean your own desk out. Now, how bad is that? No, you go clean it out. I'm not going back in there. After you done fired me, now I have to show my face back on the floor? Are you serious? This is one of my biggest suggestions. Leave like an Oscar award speech. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You know, if you're a person who's on the way out the door with a pink slip in hand and a box or two of your personal items, belongings, you really should think twice about telling everybody what you think about them. But sometimes it just can't be helped. You know, is it really worth it, especially if you're angry, to be hurt or resentful? Sometimes, yeah. Okay? But when you are going to get another opportunity to justifiably tell your boss off and not lose anything else, try not to do anything rash as you leave. Do it like an Oscar-winning speech. Thank everybody and their dog and throw kisses at them on the way out. Pretend like you're getting standing ovation and they're all clapping for you, and don't forget to thank them. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the time you allowed me to work here. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it, you know. I mean, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, you know. Consider the practical matter. The people who remain behind in professional context, they already know how much they hate their job. They don't need you to remind them. Okay? And if you want to be certain not to do anything might cause a question your judgment, you know, some of those who you work with might be on the unemployment line right behind you. So, you know, just think of it that way, because if they fire you, how many other people are they going to fire? Remember, keep all of that in mind. Don't do anything rash. If you lose your job, one of the worst experiences in your life, this is one of them. Okay? You're losing that daily contact with friends and venturing out on the unknown and the abyss, if you will. You'll feel a sense of loss and disappointment and perhaps even an unexpected sense of depression. Networking your way to the next job starts the minute you decide that you want to do what you want to do in life, and continues until you retire. As they are walking you out the door, stay focused on the future. Start thinking about what your next job will bring from the time they say you're fired from the job indefinitely before all heck breaks loose. If the worst thing happens, my advice to you is to leave gracefully and effectively with a seriousness of purpose. Positive is good, but it involves more than just being positive. It also involves exercising the case of the shut-ups. Keep your mouth shut and keep your hands to yourself as you're walking you out the door. My best advice. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And I encourage you to join me next week. Again, I don't know if it's going to be the conclusion, but we don't have too many more pages to go, but there will be another episode, at least 1 or 2 more episodes on Youre Fired. And I thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And I definitely encourage you to get a copy of this book, because this will offer you encouragement in your time of your greatest need, outside of praying to God and trusting and believing in Him. Okay, because you need to know how to handle that separate and exit interview with grace. What to do when you're on your way out. You may know what to do on the way in, and you may not, but if you don't, I have a book for you on that too. But it's good to know how to handle yourself, because the day that you get hired, it's not a guarantee, but it's a possibility that you could get fired. And if you have already got fired, you need to find out so that you can avoid any other negative behavior on your way out the door. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the time that you left me. Thank you. Thank you. They're standing there giving you an award-winning speech. Oh, thank you so much for the time that you allowed me to work here. Oh, I love you. I love you. You know what I mean? Let it be like that. Let them walk out and let them find out how nasty of a job it is. They already know that they hate the job. They don't need to remind you, and they might be right behind you. I quit. Thank you so much. Anyway, thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. Get a copy of this on YouTube or on my website, http:41homesandapartments.com. Holla at the sister.